With his take on the federal election campaign so far in the GTA, we're joined live this hour by Alvin Tejo, who ran for the provincial Liberals back in 2020. Welcome to the show. Thanks so much for making time.
Thanks, Shanelle. Happy to be here.
I want to ask you how campaigning is going so far. And, you know, this is a pandemic election. What's been the strategy for you?
Well, I think the party is doing really well right now, going into the last 9 days with voting happening right now at the advanced polls over the weekend and on to Monday. The strategy right now is turnout. We need people to go out and vote. I think there was a bit of a stumble out of the gate over the first few weeks, but people have really started to pick up, started to pay attention, and really realizes that there's a huge contrast in terms of choice between parties for this election. The government, the Liberal Party, is talking about $10 a day childcare. That is going to make a huge difference in people's lives, especially here in the GTA. It's something I've been talking about for the last 10 years since I had my first of 3 kids, and it's really going to make a big difference. And Erin O'Toole has not proven that their plan is going to help families nearly as much as this plan will be for Canadians.
You know, one of the wedge issues has become the election itself. How do you explain to voters that you're meeting and greeting with these days about why we need an election anyways?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I think there was a bit of a stumble out of the gate, but I think the message is really around the pandemic. The Liberal Party has a plan to fight the pandemic, to prevent a fourth wave, and the Conservative Party does not. They like to talk about how they're fighting for the economy, but the very first step that you need to do to get the economy back on track is to prevent a fourth wave, is to get more people vaccinated. Erin O'Toole right now won't even confirm that all of his candidates or volunteers who are knocking on doors across Peel, across Toronto, across York Region, and they can't prove that they're being vaccinated. Doug Ford himself kicked out one of his own caucus members for not being vaccinated. We have a Conservative Party of Canada right now who isn't mandating that, and that's making it more risky for people. So he can talk all he wants about how he wants to create 1 million jobs. It's not going to happen if we can't prevent a fourth wave or a fifth wave here in Canada. And the Liberal Party of Canada has said that we are going to fight that head on, and that's what we need to do. We need to bring people together to understand that we need to finish fighting the COVID pandemic, and that we need a mandate right now for this federal party to move forward, understanding with all Canadians that we need to finish fighting the pandemic first, and that we have a plan to move forward.
What do you think GTA voters care more about?
I mean, the GTA voters are, like I'm one of them. I live here in Mississauga, and it's really about how we can rebuild the country post COVID-19. Right? We were suffering the most out of any region in the country, one of the most infected places here in Canada, and we needed to see a government that is committed to fighting the pandemic, that was there to support people. And let's not forget, like Erin O'Toole and his Conservatives voted to defeat this government many, many, many times. And they had all this doom and gloom about how we weren't going to have enough vaccines. Well, we did. And we need the last 20% of Ontarians, the last 20% of Canadians to get that vaccine so that we can reopen. We can't just, promise that we're going to make things better without addressing step 1, which is fighting the pandemic.
I just want to ask final thoughts on strategy when it comes to the last week of campaigning. We're getting so close to the end here.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about turnout. I think there's going to be, unfortunately, a bit of a lower turnout right now. People are trying to get more engaged. There's a short period, a short window for this election period altogether. So what we need to do is we need to motivate people, and people need to understand the consequences of a Conservative government leading our country, and that they need to understand that what we've been promising, what people have been talking about in terms of $10 a day childcare, what we've been talking about in terms of pharmacare, that's not going to happen with a Conservative government. We need the Liberals in power again in order to implement these policies.
Alvin Tejo, thanks so much for your time this afternoon. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Shanelle.
Okay. And voters can now cast their ballots in advanced federal election polls. Advanced polling stations are open daily from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. through Monday. The location of your advanced polling station can be found on your voter information card, which you should have received in the mail already.